Okay, we're live. All right. First of all, it's not a typo, chat. I got ducked today. So I don't know because
Oh God. Thank God there wasn't a typo. Jesus Christ.
No. It's Christmas in July, only it's June. But
that is just so many wrongs there. All right, I see that we're just starting this podcast off completely incorrect.
No. What was I saying? Sorry, Logan's being kind of loud because he's doing his own thing. Anyways, so I had some things that I wrote down because I like to read the news and stuff. And so when we do the streams, like I've thought about keeping up with them. But first, ducking. Okay? Like, the funniest fucking thing is, the very first duck I received, because this is a Jeep thing. Jeeps go around, and it is an act of spreading kindness. I didn't even know this shit before I bought the Jeep, but it's so up my alley. I've joined the, like, four-wheeler version of a biker's club in some essence. Like, it's fucking crazy. So, anyways, I got ducked today, and I got Santa Claus ducked while I was in the grocery store. It's amazing. I have a unicorn. We have one I call Mario. Right now, they're all in my middle console, though, because I won't let them go. And I turn the Jeep is barely big enough for people. When you start adding ducks, they go flying out the window like IG's glasses. You guys ever hear about that? No, we haven't talked about that. You guys want to hear a fun story? What? Thank you. So you want to hear a funny? Oh, he just fucking leaves. Of course he does. Oh, chat, if you didn't notice, we've got a cool little merch rotator, compliments of IG326 running down on the bar. We've got some fun merch that I've created, but he got it set up so that you guys can kind of see some of this creation I made. Some of them are directly out of quotes out of the stream. Other ones are just ones that I love. I'm working on a Jeep Girl one right now, which is great. Oh my God, I need a shirt that says duck me. Yes, that needs to happen. I need one that says duck. Anyways, with Jeep love on the back, because yeah. Anyways, so I got a Santa Claus duck today. I have a unicorn duck. I have a Super Mario plumber duck. I'm missing a duck. What duck am I missing? Did we lose a duck? Did we lose a duck when we lost our glasses? That's what I was going to say. That's right. So when we're going back from the beach, and IG went swimming. So he had taken off his glasses, and he put them up on the dash. Now, keep in mind, I mean, we're lucky I have a door. Okay? Like, the Jeep literally comes apart. I can take the doors off. I can take the roof off. I mean, I can take the seats out. I can do whatever I freaking want with my Jeep. My Jeep is a Lego. All right? So, anyways, I don't see any reason in even having the windows up, except for when Gunner's riding with, because otherwise, I mean, he just leans too far out the window, and I'm worried he's gonna actually break the door off or something. But anyways, we come back from the beach, and I gotta take a left, and IG's on the right, and his glasses are on the right, and they're on the dash. Okay, and we're at one of the busiest intersections. Okay, so when you come off the bridge from the island, and you go to our house, there's no way to get to the road that goes to our house without having to take a turnaround, because we're that close to the end of the bridge. So, it doesn't go both ways. We can't just come off the bridge. We have to actually go down a ways, and then we have to take, a turnaround. So, but that particular day, I don't know why, we were going somewhere. So, I was actually not in the turnaround lane, and I was in the turn lane because we were going to end up continuing down that way. I can't remember where we needed to go. I think it was the bank. Anyways, I take the turn, and it's really busy. It's a really busy intersection. I go and I take the turn and whatever. IG's glasses go fucking flying. And I think it was your phone, too, right? Because I looked over and I was like, oh, you're so fucking lucky that you caught that. And he's like, my glasses went out the window. Glasses, mind you, that we had just gotten him 3 weeks prior. 3 weeks prior. They got ran over, chat, and they were perfectly fine. Anyhow.
W glasses.
So, I just missed a chat. I'm supposed to be able to check things on my phone now, though. What did I miss? Can I check things on my phone? Do I know how to stream? I'm still not a streamer. What if I go here?
Imagine.
Uh-oh. Spurs traded one of their picks. Okay, we're waiting. We're going to get the NBA live draft goes live here in approximately 46 minutes, 42, 44. 43. Whatever. I'm getting close. It's somewhere around there. Anyhow, So, but I had some things that I had said, like some of my reflections today. And, I know I talk a lot about it. I talk a lot about different things. And I know sometimes the streams can be kind of heavy. But also part of my recovery, and one of the things that I wanted to do is make sure that, like, I help spread whatever it is that I have learned. So one of the big things about having trauma is that, and the reason why it stays so constant, is that you are not sure. You're so unsure of where the real threats are in this form of trauma. And like CPTSD, like you're so unsure that, like, the only way to unlock it and the only way to start, like, not dealing with all the trauma response is to find the source, okay? And then be able to be strong enough to make the corrections and whatever. If you figure out that a source is somebody that you're close to, you got to say no, you got to walk away from it. But whatever's causing that response from you, if you can find it, and sometimes it's deeper than that. For me, it's not understanding when people are taking advantage of me. So I came across a couple articles today, because I had learned a lot about healthy communication, okay? So I thought we'd talk about, listen to this. Are you ready for this, IG? Here are 7 things during conflict. If you hear someone say these 7 things during conflict, they're not emotionally safe to argue with. I'm sure this is like, but this is, okay? So,
just not emotionally safe to argue with?
Yeah, because yes, because people argue, people debate. I mean, imagine if every politician became so emotionally engrossed in themselves that they, like, couldn't regulate themselves during, an argument trying to prove their point. Nobody's going to hear their point as much, right? So when you're arguing, because people argue.
Isn't that most politicians?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're not emotionally safe.
I thought you were going to take it in a different spin. I thought you were going to be like, imagine if every politician had, a structure mental stability. And I was going to be all like, yeah, our country would work just fine.
No. But no, they don't. Although, that dude, whatever, the guy that proposed that all THC be banned in Texas is apparently flipping out. I don't want to get into politics too much on my stream. Because everybody is entitled to their opinion. The way that we all live life is different for each of us. How we're affected by different things is all different for all of us. I don't like all the animosity. I believe everybody should be passionate about their beliefs, and they should have it, but it doesn't need to be a wedge. And sometimes it just ends up being that way. So I don't really want to get into it. All I know is that, yeah, somebody's crashing out on that one. I read it all over. It's like crazy. Yeah, but I'm told you before, I think that with the THC ban, even though as a PTSD, patient who's been told to use products that have THC, I mean, obviously, I haven't read the whole bill, so I can't speak on it, but obviously I think they found something that they're concerned about. And they must be, because they're concerned enough that now I guess the governor is, like, pushing for legalization of recreational use in Texas. Because the recreational use is safer than whatever they're chemically altering and giving to the public. So, anyways, we weren't here to talk about this. So here are the 7 things during conflict. If you're having an argument with, somebody that's close to you and whatever, and they say any of these 7 things, it means that you are probably not being heard, and they are not emotionally safe to argue with, because you're going to get pulled off course, okay? Number 1 is, you always do this. Sweeping generalizations paint the other person as permanently flawed. When someone pins your entire identity to a single behavior, they're arguing with a caricature, not you. Psychologists call this global judgment trap. It tends to trigger defensiveness on both sides. If you hear it, pause. Ask for a concrete example. Suggest stepping back until both of you can talk specifics. Okay, so yeah, but so you always do this. What is it? That is a very generalized thing, and I've heard that. You always do this. Or my favorite that I got to hear that is very close to this is, of course you made this about you, or of course you think it's that, or of course you think. When he told me I couldn't stop talking to him because I owed him money, basically, I was like, oh my God, if that's all it is, I'll pay you. And then he's like, of course you think it's just about the money. It's like gaslighting, and you always do this all together.
Yeah. Yeah. The nice concoction of the two.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So these are people, this is phrases again, chat, that are not, if you hear somebody say these in an argument, they are not emotionally safe to argue with, and you need to take a step back and gather yourself, okay? If they say calm down, now, it all depends. Because, I mean, if somebody's really flying off the handle and they're throwing shit at, I mean, I think calm down is a fucking relatively thing that can be said. But what it's referring to is that if you are expressing yourself and upset and they're like, oh, calm down, you know, it's just, it tells that your feelings aren't acceptable. And so which will usually have the opposite effect. You're gonna escalate instead. I hate being told calm down. Sometimes I do deserve it though. You're gonna love one of these on here. Number 3 is I don't care. So you're expressing yourself emotionally. You're upset about something, and they look at you and they say, I don't care.
Well, damn.
And it says, this article says, indifference can cut deeper than anger. Stating flat out that you don't care. I'm rushing you guys because I want to make sure that we don't run into NBA draft time. Stating flat out that you don't care communicates zero investment in the relationship. All right, you ready for number 4, IG? Are you ready for this? It's gonna hit you out of left field. Whatever.
Oh. No.
This tiny word is a verbal equivalent of a slammed door, it says.
What? No.
It shuts down dialogue, signaling that further effort is pointless. It's getting worse. Here's a quick
say I write.
Okay, here's a quick checklist I use when I hear it, is the article. And by the way, what is this article I want to say is The Vessel, and it's written by, we want to give the author credit because we do things like that, Isabel Chase, okay? All right, so we're at whatever because I like this. Here's Isabel's checklist when they hear it. Check my posture. Am I leading in aggressively, folded in frustration? Small shifts can reset my energy. Lower my volume. Oh, I can't do that. Offer a clear next step. How about we pause and talk after lunch? I've tried that. Practicing a grounding breath. 4 counts in. Oh, that's the bane of my, that's what I do. That's what I have done my whole marriage. Grounding breath. And then release the need to win. A lot of people enter arguments and get that way when they just feel like they're wrong. And so it becomes a defense mechanism in order to shut down the conversation. Number 5 is you're too sensitive. I don't think anybody's ever said that.
I don't think I've ever heard that one.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's ever said that to me. I mean, they might be like, you're too psychotic or you're too bitchy. Number 6 is it's all your fault. Okay, I hate that shit. Blame language is the worst. Look, no matter who we interact with, no matter how much we hate to say it, we play a part in a relationship dynamic, an interaction dynamic. You're talking to even a stranger dynamic, whatever, communication dynamic. No matter what, when something is happening and there are 2 or more people involved, it is never all somebody's fault, okay? So, you know, just blaming means you're not willing to accept what you may have, you know, like, because we're humans, we're flawed. Nobody needs to be perfect, but be real, be honest, and be authentic, you know? So I don't think anything is ever all somebody's fault. I can't. And in fact, I actually take it the opposite way. I'm really bad and I internalize it so much that I will take more blame than I should. Oh my God, this drink is actually really good. Okay, number 7. I'm done talking about this. I disagree with this one.
I feel like that's well, it depends on how it's used.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these are going to be depend on how they're used.
Yeah, because I mean, if you beat something and it keeps going over and over and over and over again, and you're like, okay, I'm done talking about this because you're not getting anywhere. That's one thing. So sometimes a timeout is wise. Even Isabel agrees with us there.
Yeah, I'd say that.
But when the phrase is wielded as a power move without agreement or a plan to revisit, the door slams shut on resolution. And I totally see that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, that was 7. So there was only 7 of them. So I was just like, so I really like what she says here. She says, conflict can either deepen connection or fracture it. The words we choose set that trajectory in motion. Next time you hear one of these 7 phrases or catch yourself saying them, treat it as useful data. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, is just the self-help portion. Like being able to look in the mirror when you have trauma and you're able to like see what your flaws are, only you can figure it out. If you're insecure about something, okay, what can you do about it? And if it comes down to the point where you're insecure because of somebody else's actions and there's nothing you can do about it, then you need to get the fuck away from that. If you're constantly on hypervigilance, on edge because you can't trust the person you're around, you should not be around them. No matter if they're, I don't care what their relation is. I don't care if they're blood. I don't care if they're I was married 24 years. If they become a person that you cannot, you feel like you have to change your behavior to be around, you should not be around them. All right. So the other article that I read this morning that I wanted to talk about, because this is just about protecting and like being able to, that's the whole thing. The thing that unlocked my trauma for me is finding the source of why I was acting the way I was, and then knowing how to protect myself basically against my own bad choices. Okay. And because I was raised by a narcissistic father, and even though I have mentioned in previous streams that this most recent relationship that really left me the most traumatized I've ever been, even though that, like, it has all the psychological factors, every professional has told me I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship. The thing is that I feel like and I know it sounds stupid because everybody has this story, but I felt like I knew him. And I feel like some of his behaviors were learned behaviors, because I don't doubt the fact that his wife was, and has been very control freakish. And I know I know the mentality he was raised with, because I was very similar. So, all of that has psychological factors. When you're raising children, we're raising tiny little humans, guys. Like, if you're a parent, you are raising tiny humans. They are watching. We all know they don't listen, but they are watching. They learn better from how to be self-survivalists in an abusive parent dynamic. And a lot of them, like, I just recently found out through all my trauma. My mom, I always have said my mom is the best mom on the face of the planet. Like, she is everything. Come to find out that part of my childhood trauma is I actually suffered from neglect. She was an alcoholic. I didn't even know it until after she died, but I didn't think it was any big thing in first grade when I would get up all by myself in the morning and know how to put my ponytails in and take care of myself. It seemed like a normal thing to do, where a lot of first graders are getting help from their moms and stuff, So, like, anyways, one of the things is how childhood trauma affects people, and as we get older and whatnot, being able to protect ourselves. And for me, I absolutely 110% have daddy issues. I am drawn to broken men who are typically, the thing is that they do, even on my ex-husband's side, he's been diagnosed with Asperger's. Asperger's has certain little things in it that are very similar to narcissistic behaviors. The only difference is it comes from a place of literally being out of touch with emotions versus maliciously using emotional manipulation. Okay? So, but here's the real. If we're going to be real about that, that's why my marriage worked. So I have daddy issues. And even though he wasn't a narcissist, he exhibited narcissistic behaviors. And because of my daddy issues and my daddy being a narcissist, that's what I navigate towards. So one of the articles that popped up in my feed today is how to spot a narcissist who's masquerading as a good person. And this is one I was really interested in sharing with you, IG. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, they're over-the-top generous. Unbelievable act of kindness seems saintly, right? But it feels a bit much or comes with strings attached. It might be a narcissist in disguise. I'm going to just, like, scroll this. They want you to feel perpetually grateful, building the illusion that they're indispensable in your life. Why does it feel like you owe them something after they help you? Because you do, according to their unspoken rules. Their so-called generosity often sets the stage for future manipulation. It's not about giving, it's about control and laying the groundwork for what's next. Watch when their generosity turns transactional.
Interesting.
Number 2, ready for this one? Dun, 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 you're going to be shocked. They tend to play the victim.
No.
Narcissists have a knack for portraying themselves as perennial victims of life's injustices, and they do it with Oscar-worthy flair. Everything is someone else's fault. They wear grievances like a badge of honor. If you find yourself constantly consoling them for their misfortunes, that's a red flag. Chad's a manipulator. Wee, wee, wee. By the way, guys, that's a Jaden Animations quote. You should check her out. She's a great animator. They're curating a narrative where they're always the wronged party, which conveniently absolves them of any responsibility, which is exactly what I fell for. This tactic serves as a dual purpose. It elicits your sympathy and shifts blame from their own actions. By perpetually claiming the role of victim, they're also deflecting attention from their own manipulative behavior. It's difficult to call someone out when they're already painting themselves the underdog. Remember, their victimhood is as much as a performance as their good deeds.
Damn.
Number 3. Their charm fades quickly. At first, their charisma might sweep you off your feet, leaving you wondering how you ever lived without their magnetic presence. Starting to understand why I think this is witchcraft. But watch how quickly that charm turns to indifference or irritation once they've captured your attention. A study from the University of Georgia found that narcissists are experts in short-term charm, but it deteriorates over time as their true self emerges. Once they've secured their admiration fix, the act drops and you're left with the real, less appealing version. Their charisma isn't a natural trait. It's a well-practiced performance aimed at winning people over. When you notice their interest waning, their demeanor shifting sharply, remember that? Remember that? Mm-hmm. It's a sign. Yep. They've moved on to the next target or they're done investing their energy in the facade. Be cautious of anyone whose charm doesn't have staying power. Yeah, fucking nailed it. This is what I'm talking. We are now at what? 3 for 3, right? 3 for 3. This is why, but yet I don't believe he's a narcissist because I'm an idiot. All right. They're masters of the backhanded compliments. Now, I never experienced this. I just watched him do it to his wife repeatedly. But their compliments are like a double-edged sword, leaving you simultaneously flattered and slighted. You'd be so pretty if you'd smile. Oh, I just lied. I should have read the whole article. I lied. Anyways, I did experience it. It's impressive you did all that on your own. Those are not compliments or criticism wrapped in a shiny package. They keep you feeling slightly off balance, always questioning your own worth. This tactic ensures that while you might feel good initially, the aftertaste is bitter. They maintain control by keeping you seeking their approval and dangling it just out of your confident reach. Oh, gee, I wonder why he thought I needed validation. Gee, why do you think he thought I needed validation? Now I know why I was prey. Now I know why. Recognize when compliments are barbed and don't let them dictate your self-worth. Well, I failed there. All right, we're moving on to 5. So we're 4 for 4 so far. Their vulnerability seems calculated. Oh, can we say the knight with the gun? Narcissists can open up in the most expected ways, drawing you in with their tales of struggles and fears. But be aware, this vulnerability is more strategic than sincere. Dr. Romani Dervascula, clinical psychologist and narcissism expert, points out that narcissists share just enough to gain your trust while maintaining the upper hand. Their stories are designed to elicit sympathy and deepen your connection and not to foster any genuine intimacy. It is their way of pulling you closer, making you feel special for being granted a glimpse of their true self, but peel back the layers and you'll find their disclosures are often rehearsed to avoid real depth. They're using their vulnerability as a tool, not a bridge of trust. When someone seems to open up too quickly, examine what they might gain from your emotional investment. That stands to reason why I was like, if you threaten yourself with a gun again, I'm not showing up because I'm not setting that precedent. Because I was still even crazy. I was still halfway healthy before he finished running his fucking game on me. But that's exactly what that is. All right, number 6. So we're 5 for 5. Okay, number 6. They lurk in the shadows. You've seen them lurking in the edges of groups' activities, always ensuring they remain the focal point without claiming the spotlight. That's interesting because I would have never seen it that way. Never. Definitely not liking crowds, not wanting to be the center of the spotlight. But now I'm questioning things because it says they masterfully manipulate the dynamics, pulling strings from the shadows. They don't seek to openly dominate, rather subtly steer conversations and decisions in their favor. This is the power of stealth and is chillingly effective. By working behind the scenes, they avoid direct confrontation while maintaining influence. Everyone feels their presence, but nobody can quite pinpoint why or how. It's an insidious control fostering dependency. Insidious control fostering dependency on their unspoken leadership. The next time somebody's influence feels omnipresent yet visible, invisible to, oh my God. Well, we're 6 for 6. I seen it both sides from my perspective and hers. Yikes. All right, they don't know how to apologize. Oh my God, this one drives me crazy. This is 7. This one drives me crazy because every single time I'd be like, you know, thinking I'm going to have a healthy conversation and just bringing something up, it was like basically somehow my fault. And then there was like only once, and it must have been in the beginning when he was like able to do that, like whatever it was talking about being fake. Because later on it was just like, well, that's just stupid, you know, like no, and whatever, or it's not like that. And then it would hurt my feelings or whatever. And I would try to like appropriately communicate that. And it was never met with an apology. It was met with a reflip. Like that's what actually led to our complete demise, is that I knew I had reacted in a way. And he was like, oh, I just can't joke with you. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm reacting poorly. You know, and he was like, whatever. It literally led to the, like, he was just joking with me. I took it in the wrong way. I was in the wrong, but rather than be like, I'm sorry that it hit you the wrong way, or I'm sorry I said this and, you know, whatever, he just turned around and he was like, I guess I just can't ever fucking joke with you then. And then that's when I didn't get out of bed for 3 days after that one.
Yep.
So, yeah, they don't know how to apologize. They collect friends like trophies, number 8. People, I don't think everybody wants friends. So maybe collecting the people that they do, you know, is something to think about.
Yeah.
But definitely, you notice both of them had very possessive terms. My family, my this, my that, my kids, my house, my, you know, like it's very possessive.
Yeah.
Nightstar was like this too. When with the whole thing where my computer, you know, like when we had moved it all over there and whatever, like, so yeah. Collections, I don't think it has to be just friends. I think, but oh,
anything, honestly.
All right. So we're 8 for 8. We can agree, right?
Yes.
We have number 9. Get ready for this. They have a habit of love bombing and ghosting.
No, really? Good.
At first, they shower you with attention and affection and praise, creating an intoxicating whirlwind romance. Oh my God, that's exactly what it felt like. But as quickly as it starts, the intensity dwindles, leaving you wondering what went wrong. Love bombing. I have a computer. My computer is a total love bomb. Is a classic move to gain your trust and adoration swiftly. Then comes the ghosting, when they withdraw without explanation. Sound familiar?
Yep.
The abrupt shift leaves you questioning yourself, often blaming your actions at their sudden disinterest. The hot and cold pattern creates dependency on their affection, turning your emotional world upside down. Let's just remember that I was emotionally dysregulated and suffering from fucking trauma and PTSD when this fucking fucker took his time with me and did these things. And so everything I'm reading here, like I think I would be a lot different. Like people can be like, oh, how would you even fall for that? Try not having emotional regulation and complete confusion. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh God. I mean, the abrupt shift leaving you questioning yourself, took me a year. It's been almost a year. October will be a year that I've been questioning myself because of it. And to the point where I don't want to be with anybody else because I don't ever want to run the risk of having anybody do this to me again. I mean, he wrecked me. And I guess I'm not going to get an apology now, am I? Narcissist can't apologize. And if I did, I guess it would be part of that, one of those other symptoms then at this point, wouldn't it? All right. Their flattery feels forced. Well, this one doesn't apply to me because I am so fucking amazing and awesome that it's easy to flatter me, and I'm sure nobody has to force it. So. But for others, they gush over you with an exaggerated compliments, make you feel more theatrical than sincere. I think I do that to myself, maybe. You're the most talented person I've ever met, or no one compares to you anyway. Okay, I heard that one, but I believed it because it's true.
Well, that doesn't mean he believed it. Sounds like he lives in a
oh, shit!
You're not looking at this from a fucking truth angle. You're looking at it from their psychological fucking perspective. So, I mean...
Ouch. Well, then he was just too stupid to realize I was that awesome. And thought he had to make it up. Like, I'm sorry. Every time he told me how hot I was, I already know. Thanks. Bet he misses that.
And this is why
I'm gonna get canceled.
Continue much longer.
Yeah, because you can't control me like that. I'm
yeah,
not.
You got such a big head already.
Yeah, even in my bad, like,
face.
well, okay. On the real though, chat. On the real, let's just be real. When I got ugly on the inside, I legitimately overpoured myself into. I lost so much weight. I freaking poured myself into because I've always believed, even when I'm overweight, I believe I'm a beautiful individual. I've always had a lot of confidence in my looks. But when I was in trauma escape, I started to hang on to it. I always think of them as superficial. I want to be beautiful on the inside more than even the outside. I do enjoy being beautiful on the outside. So I do a lot of work for that. I mean, it takes maintenance and stuff, you know? It's not about me feeling insecure about that though, because even at the most, like, even I don't look back and I'm like, I don't like myself where I feel overweight and I look back, but I'm not ugly. I feel like I always find a way to adapt to whatever, you know, my body changes are or whatever. And so, no, I do. I have a very big head when it comes to my looks and my intellect, but my brain was broken. So my intellect was gone. Emotional regulation was gone. So I wasn't a good communicator, which would be number 3 on the list that I like. So I poured all my time into trying to be hot. And I mean, I already was, but then I just got better. But here's the problem with that, is that it also led me to wanting to do things in different manners that were not necessarily probably things I would have done in the past, but because the only thing good about me was going to be, okay, to put it bluntly, my sexual performance and how I looked. That's all I was worth in my trauma mind. I wasn't capable of anything more than that. So everything in that area. So yeah, I mean, he once told me, he was like, you gotta get out of my house because as much as I like the eye candy of watching you, it's too much for me to handle. Like he told me multiple times he couldn't trust himself. Like if I set new boundaries where we weren't going to be that way, that he was like, I don't trust myself around you. And I was always like, whoa.
Okay.
What does that mean? Right. What does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you what that fucking means. That's you know how you were just saying earlier about the whole flattery thing?
For me, yeah. You think that's it?
I would say so, because you're not a fucking drug. You're not crack cocaine. People can't just get addicted to you and not stop.
Really?
I don't care.
Are you sure?
I don't care how big of an ego you have. No one's on that level. No person is like that, bro.
I'm so happy I raised you, but are you sure? Because I don't like to think about it that way. I like to think I can be somebody's cocaine or ecstasy.
Well, you're not. You're not. That's not how people work. That's a drug. That's a drug that degrades your body in return of making you feel better. So I hope you don't want to be cocaine.
Oh God, you're deep today. Jesus, why do I want to stream with you? Okay. Fuck!
Yeah, anyone.
Okay.
If anyone says that they can't control themselves around you, red flag, because I'm sorry. You're
well,
not
we've
that
already.
Person. Nobody's that guy, all right? Nobody's that good that someone else can't control. You know what?
I felt like it.
For this person I just couldn't control.
No, there
myself.
are people that do that. There are people that do that. But I felt like he was a drug.
Yeah, and are they psychologically okay?
No.
No mentally healthy person is gonna be like, nah, I just can't control myself around you. That's not how that works.
Starting to feel like I should have told you everything that was going on. Like, you were trying to be my Jiminy Cricket, and I was telling you all the good things. I was showering this. I think in the back of my mind, I knew how bad he was. And I just wanted everybody to support me in my, justified affair that shouldn't have been justified because I'm a fucking idiot. Because it's never okay. Fucking no. Like, I became the person I hated throughout my whole marriage. How many times did your dad cheat on me? Like, technically 9? 9?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but why would I ever think it's okay to be that woman? I guess because I always held him responsible. I always held your dad responsible. I never hated the women. I never went after the women. I always held your dad responsible when he would do that shit. And I also held myself responsible because, to be fair, that just so I'm clear, that was in the very beginning of my marriage. And I was not healthy. Not healthy.
And that is not how that worked.
But it was like, no, it doesn't make it okay. But the thing is that I do understand how my actions pushed him to do certain things. You can only come home so often and be told you're such a piece of shit and that somebody's gonna leave you before you just don't care enough to value the fucking,
Okay,
vows.
but here's the problem with that. You can be correct on all that, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lack of responsibility on the other side. It's not that it's, you can say it's not okay, but I can see how it happened. No, that's not how that works. It's not okay, and it shouldn't have happened at all. There's a responsibility on the other side. Yeah.
You mean like I say about my affair? You mean like I say about my affair that it's not okay no matter what? Because I say my behaviors were not okay. So what you're saying is that it should have been the same on the other side of things, and that's never happened.
Yes, because it's about taking a certain level of responsibility.
Maybe I do maybe I do just flock to narcissists. Maybe my daddy issues are so strong that I definitely need to become a nun now.
But no, like if you think about it in this kind of light, right? To take it down this kind of pathway, yeah, you could say that you could see how you push someone to cheat on you because your behavior was just so bad. But why isn't the person on the other side taking the responsibility to end a relationship that they feel like they have to get away from, like in that kind of light?
Well, I mean, in his case, it's because he didn't feel like he needed to get away from it. He was playing me.
So that was...
He literally, in not your dad's case, but in the other, he who shall not be named's case, he wanted both.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about that.
Okay. So in regards to your father.
Yes. So if your behavior was so bad that you feel like it pushed him to go fucking cheat, and that is, it's not okay, but that's where that line comes from. Why is it that he has a certain level of responsibility of ending a relationship then if he feels in that way? Cheating's not okay in any sense. It's you end something when you feel like you can't continue on with it. So even if your behavior pushed him to cheat, he should have ended a relationship before cheating on one.
Okay. All right. You're valid, and that's totally solid. I have another question.
Relationship advice for people out there. It's all or nothing with relationships, truly. Either you're gonna fucking stick by and fix it, or you end it and go do something else. Don't fucking in between that shit.
And don't do the thing that I always do, which is where you fall in love with the what is it called? I'm looking for the P word. The prospect, not the prospect, the potential.
The psycho?
The potential. No. Wow, witch. No, the potential. You fall in love with potential. I did.
Yeah, don't fall in love with potential. Fall in love with the already finished product. You're not.
I've never
you're
met.
Not buying a house that you're gonna rebuild.
Okay, but all relationships require a certain amount of building. Like, you're never gonna find something. There is no such thing as Mr. Right, Mr. Perfect, or whatever, or Prince Charming or Princess fucking whatever. Okay, like there's no. Like, when you're gonna be with people, it's either you love them more than you hate their flaws, or there's things that they got to be willing to work on, or whatever their flaws are. Like, some people chew salad very loudly, and you can't live with that.
Yeah, well, I mean more in the way of, like, it's not your job to build a person, though. That's not what a relationship is about. A relationship is where two people come together to build something, where a relationship is not about building a person. It's that person's responsibility to build themselves, and then you two work together as built people to build something new onto it. You're not buying a house to flip it. You're fucking,
supposed to be building a foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like...
I'm going to let your brother take the bike because BK's sleeping. Your brother's going to take the bike up and go get me a soda real quick. All right. So, oh my God, we talked about this one so much that the phone went to sleep. Hold on. Where are we at? We were on 10. Flattery feels forced. Okay. 11. Their personality is ever changing. Notice how they seem to shapeshift. I noticed this in his house because because they were like, oh God, if the Spurs lose, then, you know, everything's going to be hell around here. And it was like this whole fucking thing that like happened beforehand, you know? You remember that? Like,
yeah.
And so notice how they seem to shape shift of altering their persona dependent on the audience or situation. His daughter was so worried about me falling asleep in his spot because, you know, nobody sits there. So I like was going to jokingly be like, I'm not afraid of him. I wasn't, not anymore. But anyways, I slept there and I didn't mean to be disrespectful, but I was trying to demonstrate to her that he's not somebody to be afraid of. And maybe he is. Maybe I was wrong. I really hope I didn't give his like daughters bad advice. I really hope that he gets his shit together. I want to have faith in that. I mean, I'll never know. But I hope so. But anyways, I remember sleeping on the chair and being like, cause she was so scared of it. And just like, she was so scared of getting slime. So I bought it for her every time. But according to his wife, I got away with stuff. I mean, even after she found out that we had slept together and I was extradited from the whole fucking family and everything, one day the oldest wanted glitter and she's like, you're better off fucking getting a hold of, you know, Andromeda to, you know, get that for you. So like, yep. So, and just, how about just get me a Coke with extra ice. You're going to have a hard time driving it back. Put it between your feet. Okay. I'm going to let Logan take the bike. So say a prayer, everybody, because I don't want brains on the side of the road. It will be very important. But yeah, no, I mean, I remember that. Like, and I woke up to him moving his hookah and like quietly trying not to wake me up. And it was so sweet. But I felt so bad because like I had like been in their house and I had not intended.
Take the headset off doesn't help. You know that, right? It's a noise canceling headset, so you don't need to scream to me when I have it off.
Anyhow, no, I remember feeling really bad because I didn't mean to fall asleep and whatever, but he had been moving everything and I was like, see, he's not so scary, but it was probably all an act. You know, like if it had been his wife who had done it, she probably would have fucking been wearing that shit as a fucking, I don't know. But for me, like, probably. I just wanted to demonstrate to the kids that he wasn't so scary. Like, just try, you know? But I think I was wrong. I think he had been scary. I think those kids had a reason to be afraid, and I was wrong. And so, but in front of me, he cared how much it looked and how much he acted like that. Yeah. You're going to press, I think it's the M button. And that's a great idea. Go down to whatever it's on now. Go to the next rotation, the next one, because it's that fastest. It'll go down. Oh, God. Oh. Okay, you know what? Why don't you let me finish stream, and then you can do this, because we were supposed to be done. We have like 3 minutes, and we're only on 11. So, okay, let me just read this. I don't even know. Notice how they seem to shapeshift, altering their persona depending on the audience or the situation. One moment, they're the life of the party. The next, they're a quiet observer. It's never clear who they really are. This chameleon-like behavior is a strategy to bend and control their environment. By adapting their personality, they manipulate the perceptions and maintain a safe distance from genuine exposure. See, that's the biggest thing. See, that's why I think it didn't work out between he and I when I was like why it would have never worked and why we always said it would never work is because I would have called out bullshit. And he wouldn't be able to be who he is if I was doing that. Right? So in 2009, when we almost kissed, and we didn't, it was more about, like, he knew that, like, his games and his tactics didn't work. So, like Logan said the other day, he was like, yep, just a Rubik's Cube. You're just a Rubik's Cube. Yeah, because I'm puzzling. I was a new enigma to figure out because I was different than everybody else he had ever manipulated, right? So, it says their identity is fluid but never fully realized, a series of masks rather than a true self. It keeps others guessing and prevents anyone from getting too close. Authenticity isn't their goal. Maintaining control is. If someone's behavior shifts too easily or frequently, consider what they may be hiding. And so, I mean, but on the flip side, these kind of things I read, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I also set off red flags, but I think I was really open and honest about the red flags I was setting off. Like, I'm like, look, here is like the symptoms of what I'm struggling with. I literally gave him a book on what to expect. I'm like, don't get even involved with me at all on this level unless you really understand like how messed up I am. Like, cause I have issues, you know, and one thing I read once, cause I was like so worried, I was like, what if I'm the narcissist? And then literally first thing on it is like, if you think you're the cause of anything, you're not the narcissist. I think I'm the cause of everything.
Crazy.
All right. Here we go. This is a big one. Number 12 is their empathy only skims the surface. So I had this huge health scare and everything, and he had quit talking to me in the middle of it. And it's pretty bad. Like, I even sent him pictures. Like, my blood was clotting. It's a liver issue. Anyways, it was a little bit better. I'm having hives and stuff in reaction to ibuprofen, whatever. I had elevated liver enzymes. It's a whole thing. And then I went on a bender of, basically drinking and just disregarding my whole body's needs for 2 years from the time I got trauma, because substance was huge on my thing. And when I couldn't get my hands on like especially like THC and whatever, like I turn around and I've gone to alcohol for finding that. And so, but my regulation, like, I think I was really open about being emotionally unstable. But this says they appear empathetic, nodding and offering words of comfort, but it feels slightly off, like you're reading from a script. True empathy requires a depth of understanding, emotional resonance. Yeah, I said it right. The narcissist struggle to achieve, which he told me. It's like, after I went to the doctor and I found that out, it's not that I don't care, he says to me. It's just, I can't be. After everything, yeah. Like, after everything. So, yeah. Okay, 13 is huge. They are weirdly competitive. Did you ever notice how he wouldn't even play Valorant with us? But we needed to get into the games that he knew better. You know who else did that? You know who else did that? Who quit games every time we got better than them?
Nightstar.
That'd be right. They challenge you in subtle ways, turning every interaction into a competition you didn't know you were part of. Whether it's undermining your achievements or consistently one-upping your stories, they're always positioning themselves as a winner. This rivalry isn't overt, but simmering beneath the surface, casting a shadow over every encounter. It's not about building others up. It's about asserting dominance. This behavior sows a seed of doubt, making you question your own successes and what they are worth. It's an insidious way to establish superiority. Well, that's another thing he would never would have gotten with me. There's no way he would have ever gotten to a point. Like, I had to have been a lost cause, because there's no way that with the way I am so self-confident, the healthier I got, my self before trauma was so fucking overly self-confident that I literally made people insecure. So somebody like this, no, I'm better than him. So it was never gonna work. No?
Lol.
No, he's a shit. I'm too, it's just, this is the same thing that went on with that neighbor we had, where we turned around and she was like, you got to be careful giving your money to homeless people, because they might just buy beer. And I was like, if I didn't have a roof over my head and I had to sleep with my grocery cart and fucking backpack of belongings, I could use a beer. If I give somebody $5 and they go buy a beer and they're homeless, what were they going to do? Pay the rent?
Right. Like,
I'm not doing it, because once I give them the money, what they do with it is their own thing. What I'm doing, and my point in all of it is that I was blessed. I had an extra $5 per se. They were less fortunate than me. Here, let me share. That was my mentality. What they did with it after that, that's on them. That's between them, their God, their fucking existence, their whatever. The reason I did it wasn't to be a good person. It was to share my blessings, because I knew exactly how blessed I was. And so I did. And she was like, and that's when she stood dead in the face, because she went to church all the time. And I've only gone to Sunday school enough to do a play. I've never been a churchgoer, but I believe heavily in God. But she stood there and she looked right at me and she goes, you're a better Christian than me. And we were evicted by our pastor, which was her friend, within 2 months after that conversation.
Yeah, that might be a conflicting interest.
So, yeah, no, she got jealous. And he would have too. He's, you know what? He's going to be jealous for life. He'll never measure up to how awesome I am. There's no way. I know him as a person. And I'm telling you right now that he could fix everything that might be wrong with him and might find the epitome of his own happiness. And because he doesn't own shit, he'll never get to the point I will. So, because I am totally like, look, I'm amazing, chat. I am fucking so awesome. I'm also a bitchy shit. I can be difficult. I can be unfair. I can be unruly. I'm overly loud. I can go on and on about all my quote unquote flaws that I have chosen to embrace and think that they're an amazing and awesome sense of my personality. So yeah, that was never going to happen. So I was a lost cause. I told him at one point, I was like, I think you don't want to put the work into this relationship that, you know, it might take. I think it's superficial to you. Oh, nailed it. Anyways, that was the last one. Because, yeah.
Well, damn.
That's it. But that's 13 for 13. 13 for 13 on how, again, to spot a narcissist who's masquerading as a good person. He wanted to believe he was a good person. He told me, I see you trying to be a better person and it makes me want to be a better person too. He told me that once. That was either very well scripted what number was that? or it was legitimate. He just didn't realize how much work it was going to take. And he's a weak ass little, I don't want to talk derogatory. He struggles greatly in life and can't find his way appropriately.
Sorry.
Well, how you feel is how you feel. So I got ducked today. We're going to go back to kindness. All right. We're going to just go back to kindness real quick so I can better explain this.
I can tell this story because I was there when it happened.
All right,
so
go
you know
for
how
it.
because I didn't even tell you about it, but so you know how we rolled up on the Jeep that pulled out of the parking spot? And then
and I saw the little green duck. Okay, before you tell your story, let me just give chat this. Jeep ducking, also known as Duck Duck Jeep, is a fun tradition in the Jeep community where owners leave rubber ducks on other Jeep vehicles. It's a way to spread kindness, to brighten someone's day, and foster a sense of camaraderie among Jeep enthusiasts. This practice involves randomly placing a rubber duck on a Jeep, often with a small note, when encountering another Jeep. All right, now go ahead with your story.
You just had that pulled up on? Like, no. Anyway, so you know how we pulled up and then it was like green duck on the Jeep and that Jeep had pulled out and left? Well, apparently they also ducked the Jeep to the right of that Jeep. And so when those guys came out of the grocery store, they were like, did y'all do the duck? And I was like, no, they pulled out before, like we took their spot basically, but no, it looks like they've been we're busy ducking. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we were gonna thank them. And they were like, well, do you do ducks? And I was just, and then she like slowly raises up the Santa duck, and I was also like, yes, we do. And I was like, she's gonna be so happy when she comes out. And then I grabbed the Santa duck. I was like, thank you so much. And then I put it on the windshield, and that is how we got Santa duck.
Aww. Yeah, I love that I didn't know about it. I love that I didn't know this Jeep community because it was just a me thing. Like, I was just, look, I loved my Mustang convertible, but its tires and driving in snow was such shit. So when I saw the Jeep and after going down to South Padre and seeing all the Jeeps and everything, I was like, oh my God, that's what I need. I need the wind and the air in my hair and whatever. My Jeeps go in the middle console right now until we find out a way to fucking secure them so that they don't go flying out like IG's glasses. But yeah, like I can't believe. So I've already got a list on Amazon, and actually, you know what I'm gonna do, chat? As I'm gonna turn around and update Throne. We're gonna put Jeep ducking on Throne, and I'm gonna share that shit. So people that want to buy me ducks, we will go and record actually ducking other Jeeps. Like I will go on a Jeep hunt. Okay, but here's the deal. I just can't justify when I gotta feed all these special needs kids, and I'm just going through this divorce, and I have to do all these things. It's really hard to justify even $10 on ducks, even though I'd like to. So what I'll do is I'll pop them up in Throne, and we'll put up a new Throne with Jeep ducks, because I've seen some really cute ones. I wish I could oh my God, I wish I could somehow figure out a way to make it my own, because I'm such an artist, but people don't do digital. I mean, if we had a 3D printer, I would definitely craft my own. Oh my God. Gee, we need to get a 3D printer.
Yeah, all right.
I could design. Right. No, IG, we could do it on a business loan.
You just said you were all okay.
No, but then we could sell them to make money. Well, We'd have to buy a
good.
used one, and we'd have to learn a lot because I already know how to do the 3D model software. But we would literally be able to make custom ducks for Jeepers, bro. That's huge. Anyways, okay, we're cutting into the NBA draft at this point, and I'm kind of interested in how that's going. I'm hoping that I know that Antipole was in our Discord, and we're streaming from there. I don't know if he's still following it and what he's doing, but I know he was streaming it, so we're gonna go watch it, guys. And I'm gonna get this uploaded to YouTube. But this was just our daily podcast, which, by the way, all right, I didn't get my Siren Squad shirt made today because, well, honestly, we have 7 followers right now.
Unbelievable.
We have more viewers than we get. We get more viewers than we have followers.
Make the excuses.
Well, here's the thing. I had Andromeda Siren Squad, but it got copyrighted because it was so close to Suicide Squad's logos.
Wow.
So I got to see what I can do with it. But we're going to call it just Siren Squad, and the viewers are going to be called the Siren Squad. And what was the other thing I was gonna say about this that we wanted to talk about? I don't know. I'm kind of hunkered down right now, chat, and I'm not living the life. We're gonna probably be live from the beach on Friday. But I'm really not living the life because being a Jeep owner, this is more expensive than the divorce. No, it really is. Daisy takes a lot of money out of us. I posted the cutest short to YouTube of Gunner, though. Oh my God, everybody should go watch the most recent YouTube short because Gunner is like, my ESA is a Jeep dog. Hashtag Jeep dog. Like, he is, I can't believe your dog jumped in. The dog that threw up, pissed, and shit in the car when we tried to come down here and decide we were going to live here, turned around and he's like, I want to go in the Jeep. But then he shakes when he gets in it. He's like, okay, yeah, I'm in. I know it's going to go somewhere, but I can't quite get it. Oh, no, I said Jeep too many times, Gunner. I'm sorry. No, we're not. We already did a ride, baby. All done, baby. I know. Oh, he said no. He says no like Callie. I miss Callie's. Yeah. But I posted the cutest fucking short of him to YouTube. All right, chat. We're going to go now. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope everybody gets ducked. I want to spread kindness. It sounds like a good thing. So whether you drive a Jeep or not, get ducked. I like it. All right, guys. Not for real, though. We'll be live tomorrow. It's just more boring days, and we're just recapping some things, so I'll probably just be randomly reflecting, and then hopefully by Friday, we'll be on the beach, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, possibly, because the only reason we're not on the beach now is Andromeda can't afford gas, because she has a Jeep. Hashtag Jeep problem. All right, chat. Take care of yourselves and be good to yourself tonight. And let's go with this NBA draft. All right, I'm done. I'm in any stream.